Okay. So it's really nice to meet you, and pronounce your name for me.
Pennie. Pennie Crocket.
Crocket. Okay. All right. Just want to make sure I say it correctly on the radio. Sometimes things don't sound the same way they look. So yeah. So thank you so much for being on the show today. I really appreciate it. So Matt is my producer. He's going to come on about probably 7-8 minutes, and he's going to do sound check with you. He's also going to just kind of put some information in the chat. Basically what he does is a countdown. He does a countdown that says 4, 3, 2, 1, and then 30 seconds. Right about the 20, or probably about the 2-minute mark is when we'll start wrapping things up, and we'll go to commercial.
Okay, and how long is it?
The whole show is an hour.
Okay.
So you will have an hour, so feel free to talk as much as you want. I like it when people share stories. So if you're not comfortable sharing your own story, you can share someone else's story. You can share stories of success. It sounds like you have quite a bit to talk about. You've got your tea company, you've got the domestic violence, you've got like quite a few things you can pull from.
Okay.
So
you can ask me questions too. Whereas I'm not trying to just think in my mind as to what to say.
Absolutely. I'm going to ask you lots of questions, and I like it to be somewhat organic. So I have the 7 questions that you sent. One of the last questions that I like to ask is, what advice would you give your 20-year-old self? So I personally don't like surprises, so I want you to think about that so that you don't say, well, you didn't tell me that was going to be
on there. Okay.
And then that way you can be prepared. You can kind of think about it a little bit. If you do need to, take a sip of water, or if you need to do anything, you're welcome to put yourself on mute. You're welcome to put yourself, block out your video for a second if you need to. Whatever you need to do, make yourself comfortable. If there's like a blip, it's going to go live on the radio. There's nothing I can do about that. But the recording for the video, my editor can pull some things out. So sometimes I might mispronounce a word or forget something, and she can go in and edit that. But for the most part, it's live and nothing's getting edited.
That's it.
Yeah. So I want you to just feel really comfortable. I'm not going to ask you anything that's going to throw you off base. If there's something you're not comfortable with, just say, can we move on to something else? And we'll move on to something else. Okay.
Okay.
I want you to be really comfortable, just kind of like two friends having a conversation, and people are getting the opportunity to listen in.
Okay.
Sound good?
Good.
Okay. Good. Do you have any questions before we get started?
Nope. I'm just gonna do my best.
Well, you're gonna do great. If you started your own company from scratch, then I think you're gonna be great.
Okay.
Because you have a story there, and that is something that is inspiring, and people love to hear those stories. Lots of people start businesses. Not very many people succeed. As you know this, because the stats are not in your favor. They're not in my favor either. So it's not against just you. The statistics are just not in our favor when we're starting a new business. And so it takes a lot of determination and takes a lot of skill and talent, and in some cases just plain ignorance. Like, I didn't know I could do this. The fact that I didn't think about how challenging it was allowed me to succeed, basically. I was ignorant to the stats, so therefore I succeid. So just try to relax and enjoy the ride. It'll be fun. Okay. Yeah. So so where do you live? Where are you living at?
I'm out of Illinois. I'm like maybe 40 miles from the city of Chicago.
Okay, so you're like in the suburbs?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, very cool. Very cool. So I actually started off, I've lived all over the world actually, but the last 37 years I lived in Arizona.
Oh, wow. Hot.
And a little bit. It's a little toasty there. And then my dad passed away last year, and my aunt passed away 3 weeks before my dad did. Thank you. And then the year before that, my uncle passed away. And I was just kind of like, I was getting hit pretty hard. And my mom just woke up one day and said, I'm not living in this big house without your dad anymore. I'm moving to Florida. I'm like, okay, you don't have to move to Florida to get out of the house.
Right.
And she's like, no, I'm going to Florida. I said, Mom, you
She
can't.
was in Arizona too?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Okay.
my parents have always lived within 10, 15 minutes of wherever I lived.
Okay.
And my dad had this magical way of manifesting things. He would just say, you know, what'd be nice is if you lived close by. Next thing I know is I'm getting a job offer like 10 minutes from his house. Like, I don't know how you do that.
But he did it.
But he did it. He could manifest things like you wouldn't believe. And so, yeah, it was pretty funny. But so we went to Florida. In the process, my mom fell a few times and injured herself pretty badly. And so what we did when we got to Florida, I got radon poisoning.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, okay, I think my body's shutting down. And if I die, someone's going to have to take care of my mom because I can't do that. So I was trying to be very logical about everything. And I said, why don't we move to Virginia, which is where my family's from? And so we moved up here to Virginia. And actually, I started recovering and she's doing better. And so here we are. We're in Virginia and it's beautiful. I'm 2 miles from the beach. And
so she was she disappointed? No Florida?
I think she was a little upset at first, but now she's closer to her family and she lived right on the water, like overlooking the ocean. And so like you could see dolphins and manatees and, and the sailboats going past her window. And it was just a really nice place to be. But, we're a couple miles from the ocean now, which is still close by. So personally, I like it better. I thought living on the ocean was a little loud.
Okay.
Because I stayed with her for about a month while I was trying to build a house. I bought some land up in Clearwater.
Okay.
And so it's been a crazy ride. So yeah, but it's it is what it is. I seriously, I believe that, when you have a path, doors open and doors close, and you can either fight your way through a door and it's still not going to let you in, or you can take that path of least resistance.
Absolutely.
And go where you belong.
I would like to go to Florida.
And I think you should. It's a beautiful state. It is. It's a beautiful state. I have nothing against Florida. It was beautiful while we were there. I had a really good time. We're out by St. Petersburg, so Treasure Island and Clearwater. We went all up and down that little coast area. It was a beautiful place.
Yeah, sounds really nice.
Yeah, it's absolutely gorgeous. It's just the fact that we needed to be closer to family because we didn't know anybody there. We had a couple of friends there, but they were just there part-time. So yeah, it was an interesting few months.
Yeah, most of my family is in Chicago and Michigan.
I don't know much about Illinois, but I've been to Michigan quite a few times, especially the Upper Peninsula. It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Yeah. I actually lived in Minnesota for a number of years and went to Wisconsin.
There.
Yeah, a little bit.
It's very cold. Oh my God, it's so cold.
Oh yeah. I snowshoed to school every day.
Yeah.
I tell people stories, they think I'm exaggerating. I'm like, no, I really did.
But that's the truth.
Yeah. So, hi, Matt.
Good morning, Fuzzy. How you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Matt, I'd like you to meet Pennie. Pennie, this is my wonderful producer, Matt.
How you doing?
Hi, Pennie. How you doing today?
I'm great.
Good. All right. So I'm just going to do some sound checks. We'll check the mics. Pennie, do me a favor and just count back from 5 for me.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right. Sounds pretty good. Are you using an external mic hookup at all, or is it just the internal on your computer?
I have a mic. Well, it's not even a mic. It's I can show you.
Okay. That.
The box here.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's okay. Yeah. Just
Yeah, because I can't hear without it. Literally, like my regular computer volume is very low.
Okay. All right. Yeah, it doesn't sound bad. So just know that always face kind of towards that when you're talking, and then project like you're talking to somebody in the room with you, and it'll sound fine.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. All right. Fozzie, go ahead and count back from 5.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right. Do me a favor, Fozzie. Let's go into the Zoom settings and make sure that the Yeti is selected as the mic.
Okay. Oops. I'm sorry. It helps if I put my glasses on. I can pretend I can see. I really can't. Okay, it says MacBook Air. Let me change to Yeti. There we go. Is that better?
Yeah, count back from 5 one more time.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay, yeah, that sounds better.
And I apologize for the phone call. I usually turn my phone off and I can't seem to turn it off today. It doesn't want to shut off.
Well, just put it in the fridge or something. Come back later for it.
That's good advice. Thank you.
It's my professional tech advice out there.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. All right, so we are good to go. Let me send a hello
Okay.
in the chat.
All right. Thank you. Got it.
Got it. All right.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Then we will get started here in just
All right.
about 30.
Thank you, Matt. So once we get started, Pennie, I'm going to do a brief introduction, and then I'm going to ask you to talk more about you so you can feel comfortable telling whatever story that you want to share with our listeners.
About me.
About you, yes.
Like present tense me, or?
You can decide.
Okay.
Yeah, just, tell your story.
So this is how I tell my story, how Pennie's Tea got started, or this is like prior to that, me?
This is prior, just kind of give, like, I'm going to tell your brief bio, and then I'll just ask you, is there anything you'd like to add to that? And you can think about what you want to add to that.
Okay, then I'll tell how Pennie's Tea got started as a brand. Okay. Perfect.
Okay,
great. All right, I'm going to send the feed your way. Have a good show.
All right, thank you, Matt.
Welcome to Focus on Success with Fozzie Acosti. Our program is designed to help you with executive function challenges. Our guest experts offer perspective, experience, and ideas to improve different aspects of your life. Now, here is your host, Fozzie Acosti.
Hi, welcome. Thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate our listeners. We have a wonderful guest for you today. Her name is Pennie Crocket. Pennie is an educator, an author, a mother of 2, a tea sommelier, and a health professional with a master's degree in health sciences. She is an entrepreneur. She is the CEO and founder of Pennie's Teas, which is sold in more than 600 stores across the country. Pennie spent over 10 years as a college professor of health sciences, preparing students for future careers in healthcare, and she is passionate about sharing the secrets of better health and vitality. So welcome to the show, Pennie.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to hearing your success story because I think it's a very inspiring story. Would you like to share a little bit about how you got started?
Sure, absolutely. Well, I was not feeling well. I was sick. I was throwing up, had diarrhea. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on with me. So I went to the doctor and I was diagnosed with IBS, which is irritable bowel syndrome. My doctor told me that it was stress-induced due to my domestic violence situation. However, at that time, I honestly didn't know that I was going through any kind of domestic violence situation. I really thought that I was just in a bad relationship with a really bad guy that did really bad things. But I didn't have a name for it, and that name would be domestic violence. I really didn't find that out too much later. But my doctor gave me a prescription to get filled. But on my way home, I really struggled with having another pharmaceutical drug inside of my body. All the time when I take pills, especially if they're big, they get stuck like right here in my throat. And I just hate that feeling. And I'm thinking, I just wanted something more natural, a little bit more holistic. So I went home And I took to the internet and I began to Google all these different things. But really what caught my eye was tea. And so I began to order all these different teas. And my first tea was my detox tea that ridded me of all of my IBS symptoms. And that was really like the birthing of Pennie's tea. So I told my mom about it, and I called my mom CNN because she tells the world everything. So she told her family, our family and her friends that I have this tea that you can get rid of your IBS and you can lose weight from it. So what woman in the world does not want to lose weight? So I started making this tea to help people lose weight. And now I market this tea as a weight loss tea. And you can lose up to 10 pounds in a week. Who don't want to do that, right?
Wow.
So at the time, I was a college professor. Didn't know anything about tea business, or anything else. So because I am a professional student, I decided to go to school for tea, to become a sommelier. I really wanted to hone in on my skills to give something back to that consumer. So I called these episodes. So during one of my episodes with my domestic violence, a police came out because all of my windows was busted out of my house. And he gave me a pamphlet on domestic violence. At the time, I'm still in denial that this is what I was going through, was domestic violence. I'm thinking, why is this man giving me this pamphlet? I've had this pamphlet before. That it was not the first time I've had to call the police. And so I told one of my girlfriends, and she said, I think you should call that number on the pamphlet. And that was like the first time in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, maybe I should call the number. So actually calling that number on that pamphlet was my pathway of saving my life, actually. And so that particular shelter that me and my daughter went to saved my life. And now a percentage of Pennie's Tea's proceeds go back to that same shelter. So I am like forever grateful that I actually made the phone call. And that's how Pennie's Tea got started.
Wow, that's a pretty awesome story. And it's nice that you give back to that same shelter.
Yes,
that did so much for you. That's wonderful. You know, I think your story is amazing and inspiring, but it's not typical. Not every woman can see that they're in a domestic violence situation. Like you were in denial. I think a lot of women are in denial. Why do you think that people are in denial? Do you think it's that they don't want to believe that somebody could abuse them? Do you think it's that they don't know what the next step would be? Like, where do I go if I do acknowledge this? What do you think the real problem is?
I think it's all of those plus some. Like for me, I didn't grow up in a domestic violence situation, so I was not familiar with the term. You know, you think of domestic abuse, when you hear those words, I'm thinking, I'm not being abused. In my mental mind, I honestly didn't think that was me. I knew what I was going through was really bad. I didn't like it. I wanted it to stop. But I just thought that he was a bad person. I didn't know that what I was going through had a name. And that name was domestic violence. I didn't have friends that went through domestic violence. So I had nothing to relate it to say, oh, this is what this is. I just had no clue. So I'm thinking the average woman know that she might be in a bad situation, but not thinking these are the words, domestic violence, or this man could actually take my life because this is what I'm going through. And so it goes back to education. Domestic violence is not taught in school. It's not one of your subjects.
Very true. What are the symptoms? What should somebody who might be going through domestic violence right now, what are some of the symptoms they should be looking for so that they can recognize it and seek help?
There are many symptoms or different signs that a person can look for. If this person is very jealous, not your average jealous, but extremely jealous, or always accusing you of cheating, but you really know that they're the one cheating. If they're trying to keep you from your family and your friends, if they're going through your cell phone, if they're sending text messages on your behalf to your friends, if they're blocking you or blocking people in your cell phone, if they're telling you can't leave the house unless you go with them, if they're controlling your money, if you're being abused emotionally, physically, sexually, all of these different things are different signs that women can go through without consciously knowing that they're going through it. They can use your children against you. They tell you that, okay, they don't even let you work. A lot of them situations, they don't want the women to work. They want to be the sole provider of their finances. And so they're keeping them in bondage of that situation. And 95% of these men are very narcissistic men. They're very controlling. They love bomb you. They tell you all these wonderful things that it sounds like this is like the perfect man for you, but he's a devil in disguise.
So they kind of build up this woman, make them feel loved and beautiful, and then do the opposite at a certain point.
Tear them down, destroy their soul. For me, I would tell people I was a dead woman walking. And I define a dead woman walking. I wore all black every single day. It wasn't even a conscious thing. It was very unconscious that I was just dead. Literally, I walked around dead.
So you were existing. You weren't living your life. You were existing in a life. I see.
Yeah.
That's wow. How do you not let it define who you are?
Because it happened to me. It's not who I am. And that's the big difference. Things happen to us throughout life. It doesn't define us as people. It's an experience, but it does not have to define who you are or keep you from going where you want to go in your life. That's very important.
So how does a survivor learn to associate themselves with other things, have a zest for life, a desire to do other things? How did you come out of that and actually, start building your life with your wonderful tea business? How did you make that big transition?
That took time. It was not an overnight success. For me, I found solitude in making my tea. Health and wellness actually helped me heal. And as I continue to make more teas, more different brews of my tea, it helped me internally heal. It was an internal thing for me. And now me giving back to help other women, educate other women on domestic violence is still a healing process for me. It might look different for everyone else, but it's not something that you have to stay in. You can definitely get out of any situation. And for me, I planned my getaway 2 years in advance.
So you lived in this situation for 2 years before you left?
4.
Wow.
4 years. But I knew that 2 years in, either I was going to live or I was going to die.
Wow.
It wasn't really, I didn't have much choice. And at one point I decided to die because I didn't see how I was going to live. Because I was that much down the rabbit hole in that relationship. I just didn't know how to get out and stay alive. And it took something really deep within me to say, this is not about me. I have to do this for my kids. I needed to live for my children. And once I began to live for my children and start working with the teas, I began to do this for all the other women out there that need to live as well. So my mission is to save lives.
Now, I look at you and I see this vibrant woman who's highly educated, who's done so many wonderful things with your life. And I'm sure there's people out there thinking, because the stereotypical domestic violence situation might be a woman who's not educated because the spouse doesn't let them work, doesn't let them go to school. How did you manage to pursue your education? How did you manage to pursue your business? Or did you do all this while you were still married?
Oh, I was not married to him.
I'm sorry, while you were in your relationship.
He was just a boyfriend.
Gotcha.
And I used to blame myself earlier on. I'm gonna get back to your question earlier on because I was newly divorced.
Gotcha.
But I wasn't newly healed from the divorce. And so I think that if I waited like almost 2 years before I began to date, but maybe that wasn't long enough. I don't know if it is a set time, on when you should date after divorce. I don't know. And so maybe I wasn't
Yeah.
totally healed, and I opened myself up to this person, even though I was highly educated. I was a college professor. And at the time, I owned a day spa. I didn't even have the tea business. I was a full owner of a day spa. And so I don't even think domestic violence, once again, it doesn't have a name, a face for it. You can be someone that's not educated. You can be a doctor, lawyer. You could be a movie star. It really doesn't matter.
Yes, thank you for clarifying that so that people don't feel like it's always going to be somebody else. It doesn't
It
matter.
can be anybody. It can be the president. It can be anybody.
Yeah.
That's the sad part about it. It can be anybody.
Wow.
It's kind of like getting cut. We all get cut at some point in our life. But if it's we fall down as a kid or as an adult, we hurt ourselves, whatever. I just have a brace on now. It doesn't matter. Domestic violence does not define who is it going to pick. Is it going to be the young lady who had a kid at 16 years old? Or is it going to be the woman who graduated and now she's an attorney and very successful in her career and she's thriving? She still can meet the narcissistic man that would change her life and turn it upside down.
Right. And I think in a situation like that, you just have to find your way out, and you did.
Yeah.
And I think that's something to be applauded. You not only
Thank you.
found your way out, you built your life back up.
I did.
Yeah.
Determination.
Definitely. Tell me a little bit more about your story, about your recovery. How did you move past everything and really focus on your business, on your new tea business?
I went to counseling at the domestic
Okay.
violence facility.
Okay.
They offer counseling. Well, a lot of people don't know. And oh my God, this facility, and I think it's all shelters for domestic violence. You don't know what you don't know. They will put you up for 1 year in a safe place from your
Wow.
abuser. You have to pay no rent. You pay no bills at all. Your safety is what's important. And they will put you up for 1 full year while you get yourself together for you and your kids. That was like life-saving.
Yeah.
And many people don't know that. They will go to court with you. They advocate for you in your court to get an order in place for protection from your abuser.
Can you
people
share
do not have
that?
to go by yourself.
Can you share the name of or the phone number to this particular facility so that if anyone's interested?
This is a nationwide number. It's 1-800-799-SAFE.
Okay.
That's the National Coalition for Domestic Violence.
Thank you for sharing that. I don't think a lot of people know about that. So,
They help you get jobs. They're going to make
Wow.
sure you and your babies eat. And you get free counseling. I went to counseling for 4 years. My daughter went for 5 years. Also, it not just only affected me, it affected my children as well.
and how are your children doing now?
My youngest still struggle. She still struggled with relationship with men based upon my relationship with the man. And she's a young adult now.
Okay. And your other child?
She was away at college, so she didn't really feel or go through what me and my youngest daughter went through. It didn't affect her the same way because she wasn't there to really witness it.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, I really appreciate you sharing such intimate details of your family life. Thank you for doing that. I find it inspiring, and I hope that other people find it inspiring as well. Yeah, it's a terrible situation, but what makes your story great is that you came out of it and you're successful and you're moving on into a completely new direction. Yeah. So what personal challenges do you have to work with right now? Do you have anything that you're working through right now?
As far as domestic violence or just in general in business?
In general. What are your biggest challenges?
My biggest challenges now is staffing.
What a good problem to have.
It's like nobody wants to work. And so that's like one of our biggest challenges is staffing. If I can get the staffing together, I will be okay. Because we are on our way to being a household name. Now we're in almost 700 locations across 27 states.
Congratulations. That is quite the
Thank you.
accomplishment. I wish you nothing but success there.
Thank
That's
you.
amazing. Yeah. How do you deal with your critics? Because for every business, there's always a critic. There's always somebody out there that doesn't want you to succeed.
I block out the noise because once again, my business is not about me. So if I listen to anything negative, how would I continue to help other people? My mission is to save lives. That's it. So there's nothing no one could say to me because I know God has put and instilled in me so strong to help other women that nothing nobody can say to me really matters. Because my mission is to save women's lives. That is it. This is what my company is built on, and this is what I strive to do. I want to open up my own manufacturing facility where I'm going to hire the same women from the shelter that I was at. It's very important for them to know to have their own independence, to have their own money, where they no longer have to rely on an abuser for anything. I want to do that for them. The more I grow, the more I'm going to grow the brand to help these women. And then I want to have my own apartment building facility to house these same women. Well, like the shelter gave me a 1 year, I want to give them 1 year through Pennie's Tea as well, to house them in their own home, fully furnished, no bills to pay. That is my ultimate goal.
Wow, that is a big goal, but I think you will achieve it. I think if anybody can do it, it's you. You've definitely got that determination, and I see it in your face.
I will. Thank you.
Yes, definitely. So, what are some of the lessons that you've learned? I think every situation, whether it's good or bad, teaches you lessons. What are the biggest lessons that you learned through your domestic violence experience?
Oh, wow, that's a good one. I learned that I'm very resilient. I learned that I am enough. I had to begin to tell myself that I'm worthy. He put me in a place at that time in my life that I didn't feel worthy, that I wasn't enough, that I wasn't loved, that nobody wanted me, that I was stupid, that I was dumb, that I was inadequate. Even though I have a master's degree, I was working on my PhD, but he made me feel less than. So I had to pick myself up and recreate a new me, revitalize the person and renew myself from the inside out to know that I am enough. And I began to do affirmations every single day to myself and look in the mirror. I'm enough. I am worthy. I am loved. I am a survivor.
Mm-hmm.
And doing these affirmations every day really helped me build my character. And I would tell any woman out there, if you got to put a Post-it on your wall, on your mirror, wake up every morning giving yourself positive affirmations because you are worthy. You are enough. You are beautiful.
Right. Well, one of the things I tell all my students when they come in with self-esteem or self-confidence issues is I tell them, you're exactly the way you're meant to be. You have challenges, but you're a work in progress. So you have to just look at it that way and not expect perfection. And
Absolutely.
I think when you can focus on just improving yourself and improving your life and knowing that you are exactly where you're meant to be and how you're meant to be, what else is there?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, I love that. I think what's challenging is that you had to come up with that on your own. What kind of, I think that's the hard part is you're in this really difficult situation and you have to figure out, how do I get out of this? And why do I want to get out of this? Do I have something else out there? Is there something better for me? And the answer is yes.
Yes.
Always yes.
Always yes. You have to bet on yourself.
Yes, exactly true. That's Yes, very true statement. What kind of support system? You said when you first were going through the situation, you didn't have a very strong support system.
I didn't.
How did you build that back up? What do you have now that's in place so that that will never happen to you again? Because a lot of women do go back into domestic violence situations after they've been in one, they repeat that pattern.
Girl, I made a list. Okay? I had a list so long, it looked like a credit application. Like you had to look a certain kind of a way. I literally had the checkoff list. And when I began to date, it would take me 20 minutes or less to know if I was going to have another conversation with you or if I was going to give you my phone number. I wouldn't even go out on a date with the man without just having some phone call conversations. Because in those conversations, I was looking for little key things to let me know if he was a narcissistic man, if he was an abuser.
Can you share some of those? Can you share some of those tips some of those things that you were looking for so that other women can look for them as well?
I would look for like the tone of their voice, how they would talk to me. And it's just something about the way a person speaks to you is everything. I don't have to see you, but just on the phone, just talking to these people, I was just listening. If I hear a little bit of rage, if you get mad easily, just different things of that nature. And I was saying, next, he's not it, next. I know I had one guy who accused me of, it was like calling his phone, or it was something really small, but it was the manner in which he behaved. I cut it off immediately.
Good for you.
Just so many different things, but it was basically how they treat people. I began to ask them, like, do you have a relationship with your mom, your dad? What does that look like for you? It was just certain things that I was looking for me, what I was looking for, that I knew that I would never, ever go through again. I didn't want anyone who drank. I didn't want anyone who smoked. It was just, I had a list. I wanted someone educated. So no one would think that my education was above them, because we're on the same level education-wise.
I see that. That's wonderful.
It was so many things.
I remember when my daughter was young, and she was probably like in her early teens, and she was struggling with friendships. And I told her, I said, if you listen, people always tell you exactly who they are.
Yes.
And you're right. You just have to listen. They tell you with the tone of their voice, with their actions, whatever it is that makes the hair stand up on the back of your neck. You're like, ooh, I don't think I want you in my life. Right.
You can kind of sense crazy.
You can. You just have to listen.
Yes. So I think everything became sharper in terms of what I was looking for. And I'm thinking, no. So I didn't date, like I said, for a while after that abusive situation.
Understandably. Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not letting no one in my space.
Wow.
No.
Well, we're going to take a break here in a couple minutes, and I just want to get your information out there. So today we're speaking with Pennie Crocket of Pennie's Tea, and if you'd like to check out her website, it's Pennie's Tea, PenniesTea.com. She also has another website, MissPennie.com, MSPennie.com. So you can check her out on social media as well. If you'd like to get in touch with the domestic violence shelters, the national number is 800-799-SAFE, SAFE. And if you'd like to get in touch with me, you can go to executivefunctioncoachaz.com. And once you get to our website, you can subscribe to our magazine, Executive Function Magazine. You can also check out our YouTube channel, and this particular episode will be on our YouTube channel probably in about a week. So you can see behind the scenes, you can see what the beautiful Pennie looks like and see her conversation with me on our Zoom recording. So We would love to have callers call in future episodes, or if you'd like to share questions, feel free to go to my website and email us your questions. And I really want to just thank all our listeners, especially in China. I know we have a lot of listeners there, and throughout Asia and Africa and Europe. Without you, we would not have a show. So thank you so much. And we'll be back after these messages.
Okay, great job. We're all clear. Back in
All
about
right.
2.
Thank you. So how's that feeling for you?
Okay.
Good. Okay. So we have a few questions left. So the last question I started, but I didn't finish. What personal challenges do you have to work through to achieve your dreams? And we talked about your mindset. What we did not talk about is working through your PTSD. Do you still want to talk about that?
We don't have to do that. We can talk about like why I wrote the book.
Let's do that then. Okay. And what is the name of your book again? I don't have that in here.
Dangerous Love, From Battered to Boss Lady. Can you give me 1 second? My mom called.
Dangerous Love, From Battered to Boss Lady. Yes, go ahead.
Okay. All right.
Hopefully everything's good. Good.
We have to go to a conference, and so she said, "Am I ready?" I said, "No, I'm not ready." So yeah, we're at a hotel at a conference.
Oh, nice. Very nice. I'm not sure why my phone will not shut off. Every time I try to shut it off, it goes to Siri. I'm like, I don't. All right, we're getting ready to go back on.
All right, 20 seconds.
All right, thank you.
It's your world. Motivate, change, succeed. VoiceAmericaEmpowerment.com.
You are listening to Focus on Success. To reach Fawzia Costi or her guest on the live show, please call 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. You may also send an email to Fawzia at executivefunctioncoachaz.com. Now, back to Focus on Success.
Hi, welcome back. I'm Fawzia Costi, and today we are meeting with Pennie Crocket. She is the owner of Pennie's Tea, but she is also the author of a book, Dangerous Love, From Battered to Boss Lady. So we're going to spend a little bit of time talking to her about her book. We spent the last half hour talking about her journey through domestic violence and starting her tea company, but she's done many things. She's got many talents, and writing apparently is one of them. So we're going to talk a little bit about her book called Dangerous Love, From Battered to Boss Lady. So welcome back, Pennie.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's been really a pleasure chatting with you. I'm really enjoying our conversation. I love your determination. I love how you don't let anything stop you. Um, and I think you said it really well. Like, this domestic violence issue is something that happened in your life. It didn't define who you are. And that, I think, is the story. It didn't define you. You didn't let the
Right.
worst thing in your life define who you are. And a lot of people do that. They either let the best thing that ever happened in their life define them, or the worst. And our lives are really somewhere in the middle. So
Yeah.
so I love that you wrote a book. So tell me a little bit about your book, Dangerous Love from Battered to Boss Lady.
Well, it was very important for me to write the book because, one, it was therapeutic. You hold so many of those memories in your mind, and I needed to release it. I didn't want to be held in bondage of what happened in that bad relationship. So I needed to get it out. And the best way to get it out was for me to put it in a book. I mean, I don't sing and I don't rap. So the other option was to put it in a book.
Okay.
And it was very therapeutic for me because it was a lot of pain. And even today, I can't go back and read the book today.
Yeah.
You know, it was very painful, and I didn't even put everything in the book because I didn't want it to turn into a horror book. You know, people think it's like a horror story. No, it was my real life. You know, I had one of the copy editors to say, this is like a horror story. And she thought that some of the stuff should be removed. And I said, why? It was my real life. So why? I couldn't remove it from my life. Why would I remove it from the book?
You know, how somebody treats you is a reflection of who they are, not who you are. And I like that you recognize that, and it didn't define you. No, and that you're still able to talk about it, but yet take your life to the next level.
Yeah. So I wrote the book to help other women. Help other women knowing that you might be in a bad situation, but I took that sour situation and made sweet tea.
Good for you. I love it. When did you write the book? What year?
It was 2 years ago, just in 2020.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's amazing. And how is your book doing? Are you getting a lot of sales?
I'm getting some sales. I'm beginning to promote the book now. I spend so much time in trying to get into more grocery stores that I have not spent the time that's really needed to just push the book.
Gotcha.
So I'm doing podcasts like this to help really get the word out there, because once again, I'm trying to save lives, and I have to do it by any means necessary. So the book is to help someone. I'm trying to help people and let them know that you might be in a dangerous situation, but oh my God, the other side is so beautiful, because there is another side.
There is, absolutely.
But you don't know it when you're in the thick of it. You can't see past all these trees. But when you begin to mow the line and you begin to see that, okay, it's something beautiful on this other side, I want to share it with the world that there is another side to this, and you don't have to stay where you were. Like, come on, you all, let's do this together. There is another side, and there is happiness on that other side.
So if somebody wanted to get a copy of your book, can they go to Amazon and get it?
They can go to Amazon and get it. They can also go to MissPennie.com and get it. There's 2 ways you can get the book, Amazon and MissPennie.com.
Absolutely. Wonderful. So tell us a little bit about, can you share a little bit about the book? Like what type of stories are you sharing? Are these actual incidences that have happened in your life, or is it just more of a reflection?
No, it's the real deal, Holyfield. It's the raw of things that actually occurred in the relationship. I started with how I met him.
Wow.
Yeah, I give you like a little piece of that. I was introduced to him from my mother. I always say my mother couldn't hook me up with a cockroach right now. Like she couldn't introduce me to nobody. She's done in the introducing business.
So I know that you talked to your mom during the break. I'm assuming you still have a good relationship with your mom, but
I
that
do,
must
but
have been an area.
But she can't introduce me to nobody. She has, her instincts was not good that day when she thought that. Like, let me introduce him to my daughter. So he tried to talk to my mother. And she said, I'm a bit too old for you, but I have a daughter that's more of your age. And that's how that came about.
Interesting. He actually met your mother first.
Yes.
Huh.
But because my mother's from the old school, it wouldn't have worked. She probably would have shot him. And I wouldn't have to go through this horrible.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So I know that you had a lot of professional counseling after this domestic violence situation. Do you recommend that everybody get professional help after a situation like that?
Oh, that's a good question. Everybody's journey is different. I would definitely leave it up to that individual. For me, I didn't even know I had a domestic violence situation, to be honest. So I would say everyone do need counseling because it's not something you can shake off.
Because it goes to the very core of who you are. It
Yeah.
challenges everything.
And it tear you down so deep that I was watching a program on TV and this lady had a domestic violence issue and her issue was over 50 years old. But when she told her story, she still cried about it.
Wow.
50 years later.
Because it was so deep. Yeah.
So yes, I do recommend counseling. If you want to be stable, you want to be able to function in the world. I mean, there was a time in my life that I wouldn't go to sleep without a gun, a knife, and a taser. Because it's that fear that you have of someone coming up on you again. You don't want that. So if you approach me, I'm going to be ready because I'm either going to stab you, I'm going to shoot you, or have a taser. One way, I'm going to be okay at the end. Yeah, and that was my mentality for a long time.
That's self-preservation kicking in. Wow. Do you think all women, I mean, all women that go through domestic violence go through different levels of domestic violence, but do you think that fear is the same?
Yes. I give you an example. I spoke with a woman a couple of weeks ago, and she told me she was a rape victim. And the man entered her bedroom window at her home. And this happened, she said, years ago. But to this day, she never opened her windows in her house, ever. She never experienced fresh air. Like, I love fresh air.
Yeah, most people, especially during spring and summer and fall, they open their windows.
She never opened her windows. And this is 20 years later. So that rape affected her that she would never leave a window open again. No difference for me. I'm always going to be protected. I'm always going to have some protection on me to make me feel protected. And those items I mentioned earlier, that's my protection for me. It might look different for someone else.
Understandably.
Like, it make you want to go take karate lessons and be a master at it.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
I love it. I absolutely love it. So do you think if somebody doesn't get help after a domestic violence situation that it continues to haunt them? Or those women that you were telling me the stories about them having those memories years and years later, was that after therapy?
They probably didn't get therapy. Some women don't even know that they need therapy. You know, we as women, we're so strong. And, you know, we just brush it off like it's okay. It's kind of like if a child under the age of 12 was raped by a grown man and that mom don't take that little girl for therapy, it's going to affect her for the rest of her adult life. Therapy is so therapeutic. And it's just we all should have therapy. And people sometimes view therapy as a bad thing or it's a taboo. No, I love therapy. I welcome therapy. At all stages of your life as well.
Yeah, I agree with you in that it does have a negative connotation. And I do think that it's a positive experience for many people. But I also know people who've had negative experiences with therapy because the therapist wasn't great. So I think what's important is
that's
finding
true.
the right
The right therapist. Like my
Yes.
father passed last year, and I went into a depression. Even though I still had to work Pennie's tea, my mind was not right. I knew I needed therapy. I went to grievance counseling, and I still go because I struggled with the fact that my father is not present. And I lost my father and my uncle in the same week, 2 days apart.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Thank you. And I could not cope. And then 5 months after that, I lost my aunt. And so it was
Wow.
just too much death back to back, back to back. And so I needed therapy for me.
Right.
And so I welcome therapy. I think it's something, and once again, you do have to have the right therapist. Every therapist is not for everybody. And you have to be open to even wanting the therapy in the first place.
Yeah. And I really encourage people that if you go to a therapist and you don't feel the therapist is the right one for you, find another one. There's a lot of good therapists out there.
I agree.
And it's okay to go therapy shopping. It's okay to do that. You know, try a couple out.
That's a good term. You're right. Go therapy shopping. You have to have the right fit.
You do. You're not going to walk around in shoes that don't fit you. Why would you have a therapist that doesn't fit you? There, you have to find one that has maybe similar values, similar viewpoint, and can really help guide you through whatever you're dealing with.
Absolutely.
And I think that's important. It's very important. Yeah, absolutely. Go therapy shopping.
Go therapy shopping.
So, how did you know that you had recovered from domestic abuse and that you were free to start living your life?
Girl,
what
I was happy.
You were happy. I love that.
Happy. I remember one day I was at a gas station and I ran into a neighbor and he said, "It's something different about you, that you're glowing." He said, "I have not seen this you in years." And I said, "I'm happy."
So you recognized it. You knew what it was.
Yeah. And I stopped wearing all black. I began to add color into my closet of clothes. So, over the summer, I have my pinks, I have my yellows, I have all my pastel colors, and I feel good about it. I even have pink glasses, green glasses.
Well, I think it makes a difference. You're like, okay, today I'm going to wear, my pink shirt, and you walk around and you just feel good. Or you've got your new shoes and you're like, I love the zebra print. I'm going to wear, with my new dress. And I think clothes really make you feel good. It's a reflection of your emotions and how you feel. And it tells others, how you're feeling. If you wear all black, it's like, and I'm guilty of that. I wear a lot of black, but I have a whole different reason for it. I was homeschooling some kids and I was teaching chemistry and I was ruining all my clothes. And I realized that the diodes and oxides didn't show up as much on black.
On black, so I'm gonna wear some black today.
So I bought like 10 black t-shirts and I started wearing those every day. Those and jeans were my uniform for years because they didn't get as damaged as my other nicer clothes did. But yeah, absolutely. I love color. I think it's important. And I think everyone, when they wear color, it shares their personality a little bit.
Yes.
Like who they are, like my daughter loves pink. She's 24. She still wears a lot of pink. She's in medical school. She's in her 4th year and she just had her interview for her residency program. And she wanted to wear pink and she had pink folders for her resume. And she's like, I'm just going to channel Elle Woods. And so, so like her line is like, it's hard. So that's her way of sharing.
And did she have the dog with her too?
No. But I bet she would if they allowed dogs in hospitals.
I love it.
That's cute. But no, she, I think you really see someone's personality come out in their clothes, and you can tell by what someone's wearing if they're approachable and if they're not approachable, and how they're feeling that day. If their shirt's untucked and their shoes don't match, you might want to stay away a little bit.
Right.
Maybe they're not, maybe they're a little sleep deprived. So you never know. Yeah, no, I love the fact that you've come so far. Can I ask how many years it's been since you've left your domestic violence situation?
12.
12 years. And how long have you had Pennie's Teas?
8.
Okay. So in those 4 years, you did a lot of recovery, a lot of self-searching.
Yes.
Can you tell a little bit more about what you did during those 4 years and how you healed yourself?
I went to therapy, as I mentioned, as well as I was beginning Pennie's Tea. So I didn't launch Pennie's Tea until after that, but I began ordering different teas. I began to try to feel my way. What does this look like to have the business? So when I say 8 years ago, it's probably really before the 8 years, because I was ordering different teas. I was going to school for tea. I was making the different concoctions to call it Pennie's Tea to put on my website.
Gotcha.
And so that's what I was doing at that time. And it felt really good. It just felt good. It gave me something to do every day outside of regular work. And I was able to channel all my emotions into what I was doing. And it's still, I do the same today. I am a workaholic. I literally work 7 days a week on this brand.
But I think when it's something you love, it's not work.
This is true too. But it is important to have work-life balance, and I struggle with that. So
I think most entrepreneurs do. I know.
I'm trying to find
Yeah.
this work-life balance. Like, what does that look like? What? I don't know.
I read I read this sign one time in an office, and it said, an entrepreneur is someone that is willing to work 80 or more hours per week to avoid work for themselves. An entrepreneur is willing to work 80 or more hours for themselves to avoid working 40 for somebody else.
Absolutely. I agree with that statement.
But I think
100%.
Yeah, but I think the real reason that entrepreneurs work for themselves is because they have something to share.
Yes.
And they can't do it working for somebody else.
No, they cannot.
And I think not only do you have your story to share and you inspire others with your story, you have this tea, which is an actual product that supports your mission of helping others.
It does.
And I love how it's coming full circle for you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I really enjoy what I do. It just, as I see the brand grow, I remember when I was just in one store and I couldn't see past the one store. It's kind of like going back to what I said earlier. You can't see what's in front of you.
Right.
And I'm thinking, oh my God, how am I get into 2? And now I'm in almost 700 later. I just have this drive. I am so ambitious. It's sickening, probably.
Well, the wheels have turned. You're moving forward, and there's no stopping you now. It's taken a life of its own.
I'm going to get in all 50 states. I would not stop at 27. Pennie's Tea would be in all 50 states.
Why stop at 27? You're almost there.
I'm almost there. Absolutely.
Why stop? Keep going.
Keep going.
So if you were to give advice to our listeners,
yes,
what would be your number one bit of advice?
Believe in yourself. Don't ever doubt yourself. If you have a burning desire, such as myself, to be an entrepreneur, do it. Don't let money stop you. Sometimes we think, oh, I don't have enough money to do it. You can start being an entrepreneur with $0 down. You just have to start.
Agreed.
Believe in yourself, be resilient, and know that you can do anything you put your mind to.
I agree.
If you don't start today, you don't know what it's going to look like on the other side. Just try to get a peek of the other side so you can have a smile just like this.
No, I completely agree with you. I started my business without any money invested in it.
Yeah.
I know it can be done.
$0 down. Just do it.
Absolutely agree with you. Last question. What advice would you give your 20-year-old self?
My 20-year-old self, I would tell her, don't ever give up on yourself. Always know that you are enough. Don't ever let a man define you. Always believe that you are strong and you can do anything that you put your mind to. And you got it. You got it all together. It might not appear at that time that you have it all together, but you really do have it all together. Just keep believing in yourself. Always be your own biggest cheerleader. I don't let people or have to cheer for me. I cheer for me because people will let you down. Always cheer for yourself.
I love that. You are your number one fan. I love it. And everyone should be their own number one fan.
Yes.
Absolutely. I love it. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you being on the show today. If you would like to get in touch with Pennie Crocket, you can go to her website and buy some of her teas. Pennie's Tea, PENNIESTEA.com or MissPennie.com, MSPENNIE.com. You can also go to Amazon or anywhere books are sold and get her book, Dangerous Love from Battered to Boss Lady. And you can read about her story and get inspired. And if you'd like, if you are in a domestic violence situation or you know someone who is, you can reach out for help at 1-800-799-SAFE, SAFE. And we would love to hear comments or questions. And you can go to my website, executivefunctioncoachaz.com. And at the very bottom of the page, there's a contact us button. You can click on that and send us your questions, and we'd be happy to answer them on the air. If you are interested in signing up for our magazine, Executive Function Magazine, you can also go to the website and do that. And while you're there, you can listen to our YouTube channel and our radio show. We are so grateful for every single one of you listening today. Without you, our listeners, none of this would be possible. So stay tuned for some special episodes coming up in the next couple of months. We have our 100th episode coming up December 7th, I believe. And we're going to do something special that day. And we've got a couple other special episodes coming as well. But once again, if you'd like to get in touch with Pennie, you can go to penniestea.com or you can go to MissPennie.com and you can get her book anywhere books are sold, Dangerous Love from Battered to Boss Lady. And I just want to thank Pennie Crocket for being on the show today. So thank you so much, Pennie.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Yes. We'll see you all next time.
All right, perfect. Good job today. All clear.
Thank you.